What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am updating a deck that I haven't done for a while now, and that is going to be Traptrix. Now, as a disclaimer, this is not going to be budget. It does involve quite a few expensive cards, more so in the form of Solemn Accusation, but I really like what Solemn Accusation can be used in this deck. So I'll take you through the profile, explain why Solemn Accusation is so good for the deck. Hopefully, if you already had the vision that I did, you would have picked them up a little bit earlier, and then you'll be able to utilize them in your own Traptrix deck. There is a way that you can just sub those free cards out. They can become free Ash Blossoms, because that is a card that I've chosen not to play in the main deck. But I'll take you through it, explain what I've got, and explain why I've got it, and kind of go from there. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. So the monster lineup is pretty standard for Traptrix. It's usually just one or two cards that you alternate whether you want to play X amount of copies of. But without question, you're going to want to play 3 of your Traptrix Momelo, because this one is unaffected by the effects of Trap Hole cards, which is pretty much the majority of the Traptrix monsters. But on normal summon, this lets you add a whole normal trap from the deck to the hand, and special summon, target a spell, trap your opponent trials, and destroy it. Now, it's very important if you're new to Traptrix that these effects of most of them. So when this card is normal summoned, you can, so optional. The secondary effect, if this card is special summoned, target a spell trap card on the field and destroy it. It is mandatory to activate. That's why you might see a combo where your opponent doesn't have any spells and traps, or it's turn 0, and you special summon Traptrix Momelo, and then you are forced to trigger the Traptrix Momelo effect, which will then in turn trigger the Sarah. So it's actually a benefit for you. But that's just as a note if you are new to Traptrix and how they kind of work. Then we want to play 3 Mantis. This one on normal summon lets you add a Traptrix monster from the deck to the hand, and its special summon effect, or it doesn't have a special summon effect, it just has a quick effect. You get to target one set spell or trap you control and return it to the hand. So again, just more ways of being able to trigger their own effects, turn 0 to trigger off the Sarah, and then get your additional effect of setting a trap card. Then I'm on 3 Arachnocampa. Some people play 2. I think 3's fine. To be honest, you can play 2 or 3. Entirely up to you. I just like the idea of actually seeing it straight up. And if I see it straight up, then it means my search of a Traptrix monster can kind of open it up a little bit more for different options. Or if I see 2 of these, I've got 1 for my turn, 1 for my opponent's turn. So this one gives you the ability that you can reveal it in the hand during the main phase. As long as you control a Traptrix monster, you get a quick effect to special summon this card from the hand, and then you can not special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except insert or plants, which is absolutely fine. But the benefit is, while this card is on the field, your spells and traps that would be destroyed by card effect this turn is not destroyed for the first time. So that's actually really important, and it is only your set cards, but it's just another way, like if your opponent goes Harpy's Feather Duster, and this is the benefit of it being a quick event, you can go chain Arachnocampa, special summon it down, and as the chain resolves, Arachnocampa's on the field, and the Lightning Storm or Harpy's Feather Duster won't be able to destroy the spells and traps. So it's a nice way to play through some of the field breakers that are going around right now. Then I've got 2 Traptrix Pudica. So again, all unaffected by whole normal trap effects, so only in the mirror match will it be really, really awkward. But this one allows you to, on normal summon, lets you add a Traptrix Garden from the deck to the hand. And the Traptrix Garden is, for those of you unfamiliar with it, the field spell, which I'll talk about in a second. And then its special summon effect, you target a special summon monster your opponent controls, you banish it. But during the next standby phase, your opponent gets to special summon one of their banished monsters. So usually what you want to try and do is you banish it with Pudica, and then if you've got the Panicular on the field, you actually then get to attach it as material. So then they, even though they can still special summon back a banished monster, you're hoping that at that point they're not going to have a special summon monster to bring back. The Traptrix Garden is during the main phase, you get an additional normal summon of a Traptrix monster, in addition to your normal summon or set. The first time each insect or plant monster you control will be destroyed by battle each turn, it is not destroyed. And you can banish a monster you control to special summon a Traptrix monster from the hand or grave. So it's just actually really, really good for the deck. And the fact that it's very easily searchable off the Pudica, it means you can actually afford to only play 1, which opens up some space for other cards you can utilize. Speaking of, the last Traptrix monster that I play is the 1 Dionea. You can play 2 of this if you want to. If you wanted to play 2, you might reduce your Trap Hole cards that I'm using, or you might not. Or you might choose not to play one of the spell cards that I'm using as well. So entirely up to you. Flicks it around if you want to. I do also quite like playing the other ones. So I've got all my Traptrix cards over here. I used to still really like playing the Vasilo, but you don't really need to do that anymore. And then carrying on with obviously it's not a Traptrix monster, but it might as well be an honorary Traptrix monster with how easy this card is facilitated and then how easily it is to build up your own Exceed monsters. And that's going to be 3 parallel Exceed. So usually once you link someone into Traptrix, if you've got this card in hand, you can trigger this effect, and that will ultimately end up leading you into one of your rank 4 Traptrix monster. Probably a Rafflesia, because then the Rafflesia can protect you from stuff like Nibiru, which is something that can be quite effective against the strategy, but you've got a bit of insulation for it as well. And then for the trap cards, because that's where the rest of this deck is going to shine, we play 3 Holotea. So you get to activate this card the turn it was set by discarding a normal trap card. Special summon in defense position as a normal monster, plant earth at level 4, 400 attack and 2400 defense, so it's actually quite annoying to deal with. It is still not treated as a trap card, which is quite important. You can banish this card from the graveyard to target a Traptrix monster in your graveyard and special summon it, but you can only use 1 effect per turn. The benefit is it's a trap card you can activate turn 0, and again, trigger off Traptrix. In the past, we were using Shade Brigadine, which still could be utilised if you really, really want to, but Holotea kind of like replaces that for you. Then for the trap hole cards I've gone with the 1 Floodgate, the 1 Gravediggers, the 1 Bottomless, and you can choose to play Bottomless or Banishing, whereas I've chosen to play both. But this is one of the trap hole cards you can choose not to utilise if you wanted to. Gravediggers is the ideal one, so when your opponent activates a monster effect in the hand or grave, or when your opponent banish monster's effect is activated, negates effect, and if you do, you inflict 2000 damage to your opponent. Floodgate Trap Hole, when your opponent summons a monster, you get to flip it face down, and then it's locked face down, well, until you attack it, basically. So that's really, really important, and it cannot change their battle position. So even if they are flipped face up, I'm pretty sure they still can't change it, but the idea is you're flipping something face down, which is, it's not so good in a fusion matchup, but it's great in a synchro matchup. Like you go, cool, normal summon Cool Tune Clip or Rotary or whatever, force them with, well not even Rotary, like Rico and Mix, force them with Trap Pole, and they're either going to be able to use Cool Tune Synchro and dodge it, or they're not, and it's going to get stuck face down. So, Bottomless Trap Pole is an opponent's monster is summoned that is 1500 or more, destroy it and then banish it. The Banishing Trap Pole is when your opponent summons a monster with 1500 or less attack, banish that monster face down. So this is obviously better, and it'll be better in the Cool Tune matchup, the ones that don't have the 1500 attack points, but then Bottomless can be really good for those that do have above 1500 attack points. And then the final Traptrix-esque card I'm playing is the Trap Tantalizing Tune. I just like this to be able to discard a level 4 insect or plant, so basically any of your Traptrix monsters, or a normal trap card. You draw 2, and then you can banish this card from the graveyard, target one of your banished level 4 insect or plants, or a normal trap card, place it on the bottom of the deck. The only issue with that one is it's not always as easy to get your own stuff banished, believe it or not. But if your opponent is banishing your own stuff for you, happy days. And then I also do like the idea of main decking 3 evenly matched, just because this deck is a trap deck. It's more designed to be control. But what you get the ability for with a card like evenly matched is you can utilise this as either your discard follow for your Holotea, because it's a normal trap card, or you go second, you drop an evenly matched on your opponent turn 0, they're going to be like, what the hell? Why? Huh? And again, this could be subbed out for like an Ash Blossom if you wanted to. The penultimate cards before we start, well actually these are all kind of like the non-engine-esque areas. So I've gone with 2 Dominus Spiral. The only clashes that this really has is with some of your extra deck monsters, so stuff like your Zeus, your Time Thief Redoer, and your Exton. So these are the 3 cards I'll have a bit of a clash with. It's the reason I'm only really playing 2 of it, but what I like about it is that during the turn in which your opponent is activating a monster effect in the hand or grave, get to activate this card from the hand. Target a monster your opponent controls and return it to the hand, or extra deck, and then if there are no traps in your graveyard, your opponent can special summon a monster from their graveyard. If you activate this card from the hand, you can't use light and darks for the rest of the turn. Sorry, not rest of the turn, rest of the duel. Rest of the turn would be broken. Rest of the duel, which is usually quite fine because most of your Traptrix monsters are Earths, but this is completely optional. You can take it out if you don't want it. And then I've gone with Mulchomi Fuelos just to kind of facilitate this deck going second a little bit more. I've then got 3 Dominus Purges and 3 Infinite Impermanences. Both of these, so all of these cards in the white sleeves, unfortunately, are currently in my main deck right now, which is Tellarknights. So, sorry, apologies on the sleeves. But the other is, again, Purge only locks you out of Darks, Waters, and Fires, which is absolutely fine. It's also another reason why Ash isn't in here. And the other is that you can go turn 0, Imperm your opponent, Purge your opponent, negate and destroy, and then you can use Spiral to return, and then you don't even need to give them the ability to special summon a monster back from the graveyard. So And then the final card is, of course, Solemn Accusation in the main deck. Why Solemn Accusation in the main deck, I hear you cry? Well, very simply, you can activate this card the turn it is set by revealing one other face-down trap card you control, which is so easy, because you've got all your trap hole monsters, or your Holotail, sorry, you've got all your trap hole traps, then you've got your imperms, your purges, your spirals. So all you need to do is go, cool, draw phase, standby phase, main phase. Set 1, your opponents will be like, ha, they bricked. Set 2, and they're going to go, oh, this is going to be so good. And then you go, normal summon a Traptrix monster, and they go, imperm. Or maybe they want to go Cool Tune Synchro. You go, okay, cool. Flip Solemn Accusation, reveal the trap card I previously said, and they're going to go, what? Why are you main decking Solemn Accusation for 1? Number 2, Solemn Accusation can do that? Number 3, yeah, it can. So I thought it was really funny in this deck. Yes, if you weren't able to pick these cards up when on release, which they were about £25 a copy, it's going to be a bit harder now because they're about £50 a copy. So there isn't a direct replacement for it, but if you still want to be building this deck as I've shown you, just minus the accusations, then like I already said, what you do is you would take the Solemn Accusations out, and in its place you would then put in like Ash Blossoms, Ghost Spells if you wanted to. You can pretty much put in any interactive card you want to. So that's it for the entire main deck. Now to take you on to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we have one of the last surviving Link 1 monsters around from, I believe it's like the Link Reigns pack back in the day, because it very quickly became this point that Link 1s shouldn't exist because they're just so crazy good. But Traptrix needed this card. This card was incredible. It still is incredible. It's like their best card. It's mad. So it requires a non-link Traptrix monster. This Link Summon card is unaffected by all trap effects. So when it tries to use its effect to special summon, they can't impulse. Really cool. And then you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If a normal trap card is activated, yours or your opponent's, you get to special summon a Traptrix monster from the deck with a different name from the card you control. If your other Traptrix monster effect is activated, you get to set a whole normal trap directly from the deck. So usually what you'll do is you activate something like the Holotail. That's the trap card to trigger the Sarah to get you the Traptrix monster from the deck. If you haven't got a way to trigger a Traptrix monster's effect, you always summon out Momelo, because then Momelo is mandatory to activate. Otherwise, you can go for something like Mantis to return a set card and then reset that card. And the idea is that once you've activated that effect, you're going to have 2 level 4 monsters on the field because your trap card will be treated as a level 4. You're going to have, obviously, Traptrix Sarah, and then you'll end up getting a set trap hole card. So you're either going to overlay those 2 monsters and go into a Rafflesia, which gives you access to any of your trap holes directly from the deck, which is really important. Or you can go into a Time Thief Redoer that would end up having a monster in a trap as a material, so it's got a return and then it's got like a run away. But it's also quite good with Redoer that you get to steal some of your opponent's top card, so that could very easily be a spell that gets you a draw as well. But that's just a odd example, but that's kind of what you're going to be able to get. And that usually can come straight from a Momelo, because you go normal summon Momelo, set the Holotail, as long as you've got a trap card to discard, turn the Momelo into Sarah, activate the Holotail summons, trigger off the Sarah, special summon like a Momelo still. Momelo mandatory effect to try and pop one of your opponent's spells and traps, which you can't do because they don't have any, but it's a mandatory effect, so it has to activate. Trigger the effect to Traptrix Sarah, set either your Banishing Trap Hole, your Floodgate Trap Hole, your Bottomless Trap Hole, even a Trap Hole Holotail if you wanted to. Or you could go for a Gravedigger's Trap Hole. So you can go for any of those. You've got a range of options for you. And then you kind of just sit in there pretty with a rank 4 as well. Carrying on, for our Link 2, we've got the one Yugioh. So it requires specifically insects or plants. And then the Link Summon card is unaffected by trap effects. Only use each of one effects once per turn. After you activate a whole normal trap card, you get to reset it back to the field instead of send it to the graveyard. Then during the end phase, target a Traptrix monster you control, in your graveyard, and special summon in defense. So recurs your resource. Got the one Atopus. This requires 2+ monsters, including an insect or plant. Link Summon card is unaffected by trap effects. All Traptrix monsters you control gain 1,000 attack, while there is a normal trap card in your graveyard, which 90% of the time that will be the case. Once per turn, target a face-up card your opponent controls up to the number of insects and/or plant monsters you control. Negate their effects from the end of until the end of the turn, and then you can apply the effect. Banish a normal trap card from the grave, and if you do, destroy one of those targeted face-up cards. So nice disruption. For the XEs, we've got the Rafflesia. So unaffected by trap effects while it has XE's material. Traptrix monster you control except itself cannot be destroyed by battle or card effect. Your opponent cannot target Traptrix monster you control except itself with card effects. And once per turn, during either player's turn, you get to detach an XE's material from this card, send a whole normal trap card that meets its requirements. Now, it's not just whenever you want to activate a trap hole card, but it's basically like if your opponent activates a card effect in the hand, grave, or banish, then of course you can trigger the effect of Rafflesia, so Nibiru, and then you can send, I've gone past it probably like 7 times now already, your grave triggers trap hole to the graveyard and then applies its effect, so really important. Then we've got the one Alameris. So 2 level 4 monsters. This card is unaffected by trap effects while it has Xyz materials, which is really nice that they've been consistent with these effects. Once per turn, you get to detach 2 materials from this card, especially on a level 4 insect or plant. Remember, all of your Traptrix monsters are usually insects or plants, so you're absolutely fine. If your opponent's monster leaves the field because of your card effect and is now in the grave or banished, you get to detach a material from this card, target one of those, and special summon it to your field. And then we've got the Panicular. So generic rank 4, but while it has materials, it is unaffected by trap effects and the activated effects of other monsters with the same type as this card's materials. This is where it's going to come up to steal your opponent's monsters as material. You can only use each of your own effects once per turn. Detach a material from this card to add a Traptrix monster from the deck to the hand. If a monster or monsters owned by your opponent is sent to the graveyard or banished, so that's where your Puda card comes into play, by a card effect, except during the damage step, you get to attach one of those monsters to this card as material. And then just for your generic options, we've got the one Link Spider. So this is if you get Nibiru, you can turn your token into a Link Spider and it triggers off the Parallel Xyz, but chances are you should have already been able to get to the Parallel Xyz, and the only time you would ever mess that up is if you choose not to go for Rafflesia and then get hit with a Nibiru. But sometimes Link Spider can come up with those odd chances where you need to go into it, but you know, keep that around. The only other Link monster that I play is the one Gorgon or Xelophinia. You can very easily play a Sewer, the Earth Charmer, which could be a good option instead of Link Spider. But the idea behind this one is if your opponent's got like a Liger Dancer or just something that is a little bit tougher to deal with, you make this, sorry, not a Liger Dancer, something a little bit tougher to deal with, like a Chaos Angel or something that is going to kind of threaten the field. You make the Gorgon, you kind of lock them down a little bit as you try to build up a bit of resource until you can out it. Then we just got generic rank 4 in the form of Giant Hand, Boguska, Time Thief Redoer, Evilsworn, Exoton Knight, and then of course Zeus. So all of those pretty straightforward and staple options. You can flex around a little bit if you want to. You can go for stuff like a Nightmare Unicorn, Nightmare Phoenix. The extra deck itself, I wouldn't say it's dated, but it has a lot of flexibility. It just kind of comes down to whether you want to include like Access Code Talker. It comes down to the environment. If you're like, wow, okay, well I've got loads of Lunalights running around, I need to be able to deal with that, then that's something you can consider. Especially with a breaker format, it's actually quite important to protect some of your spells and traps, and as soon as you can protect your trap cards, it kind of makes it really awkward for your opponent to then try and pick apart, and then you're just kind of controlling the game's pace from that point on. So that is pretty much it for the entire profile. If you do have any questions, by all means, please put in the comments down below. Like I said, this is just a nice little update that I haven't done for a while. We do get a brand new trap hole card in Chaos Origins. It's okay. I don't think it's an absolute must play, which is why I thought it would be a good idea to update Traptrix now rather than holding off for that one. And this is mainly for that Solemn Accusation. I just think the Solemn Accusation is such a funny interaction with Traptrix that it just works out really, really nicely. And thought it'd be a good idea to update it for you because I think the last one I did was like 5 months ago. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and of course, happy dueling.